Well, just woke up this morning and basically heard cop cars going up and down the road, tried to figure out what was going on.
Residents in the neighborhood surrounding the Clinton Correctional Facility were frightened to hear the news of 2 escaped prisoners.
There's really never been anything really like this before.
This is the first time anyone, let alone 2 convicted murderers, has ever escaped the maximum security portion of the prison since it opened in 1865.
The first sign that something was wrong came from the trees. A family driving their off-road vehicle through a rural stretch of Franklin County, upstate New York, heard a sharp crack echo across the road. They assumed it was a blown tire. It made sense. Rough roads, summer heat, miles from anywhere. They pulled over. The tires were intact. Then they noticed a small hole in the vehicle's body. Before they could react, a man stepped out from the tree line ahead of them. He was filthy, covered in insect bites, his clothes torn and dark with grime. He carried a shotgun. That moment marked the beginning of the end of one of the largest manhunts in modern New York history, a search that had already been underway for more than 2 weeks. Deep in the northern reaches of upstate New York sits the village of Dannemora. On paper, about 4,000 people live there. In reality, most of them are inmates. Dominating the town is Clinton Correctional Facility, a maximum security prison that had once been a hospital for the criminally insane. It was cold, remote, surrounded by forests, swamps, cliffs, and miles of inhospitable terrain. Locals called it New York's Little Siberia. It was considered escape-proof. Until the morning of June 6, 2015. At 5:30 a.m., during routine roll call in one of the prison's less restrictive units, guards noticed 2 men missing from their cells. Their beds were occupied, but only by crude dummies made to resemble sleeping bodies. The cells were empty. The inmates had last been seen alive at 10:30 p.m. Somewhere in the 7 hours of darkness between those checks, 2 convicted killers had vanished. The escapees were Richard Matt and David Sweat. Matt, 48, was a lifelong violent offender with a history of burglaries, sexual assaults, and prison escapes. In 1997, he and an accomplice kidnapped a man near Buffalo, held him in a car trunk for more than a day, beat him repeatedly, then killed him by snapping his neck. The body was dismembered and dumped in the Niagara River. Matt fled to Mexico, where he murdered another man in a bar for cash before being arrested and extradited. He was serving a long sentence with no parole until 2032.
We're gonna dip these in AIDS blood, and we'll put a patent on them. We'll sell them as deadly weapons.
Sweat, 34, had spent most of his life cycling through prisons. In 2005, after robbing a fireworks store in Pennsylvania, he was confronted by a sheriff's deputy. Sweat shot the deputy multiple times, ran him down with a car, then executed him with 2 shots to the face. He was sentenced to life without parole. Inside Clinton Correctional Facility, the 2 men became inseparable, and they were planning. For weeks, possibly months, they carved holes into the walls of their cells using smuggled tools, hacksaw blades, chisels, screwdriver bits. They worked slowly, carefully, hiding their progress. On the night they chose, they placed dummies in their beds and slipped through the openings they had created. Beyond the walls was a hidden world of catwalks, tunnels, and pipes. Tight, dark, and suffocating. At one point, Matt panicked inside a pipe, frozen by claustrophobia, and Sweat had to drag him forward. They left notes behind, messages scrawled on crude paintings, final taunts. Then they emerged from a manhole in downtown Dannemora, roughly 150 yards from the prison. They disappeared into the wilderness. The response was immediate and massive. State police, FBI, US Marshals, Border Patrol, Forest Rangers, helicopters, K-9 units. Schools closed. Roads were locked down. Armed officers stopped every vehicle. Residents were warned to stay inside. A reward was posted. $75,000 for each man.
Killers were missing came during the daily bed check early Saturday morning.
State police tell us they are checking camps and abandoned buildings in the area.
1 full week now. 2 escaped killers have eluded capture.
This really could have been a movie script, and if you saw it as a movie script, it would have been unbelievable.
A lot of traffic. They're stopping every car going up or down 374. The intersections, I'm understanding each one of them is being patrolled.
Yet for days there were no confirmed sightings. The forest swallowed them. Cabins were broken into, food was stolen, clothing discarded, muddy footprints appeared and vanished. Locals reported seeing filthy, exhausted men who fled the moment anyone got close. The terrain worked against everyone. Dense brush, rocky ground, swamps, endless trees. Inside the prison, panic spread. Guards reportedly interrogated inmates aggressively, desperate for any hint of where the escapees had gone. Still, nothing. The escape was not done alone. Joyce Mitchell worked in the prison's tailor shop. Friendly, trusted, and unassuming, she developed close relationships with inmates, first with Sweat, then with Matt. Over time, she smuggled tools into the facility, hiding them inside frozen ground beef. A prison guard, Gene Palmer, acted as an intermediary, unknowingly delivering the contraband. In return, he received paintings Matt had made, later found hanging in his home. Mitchell was supposed to meet the men after their escape. She was supposed to drive them away. There were even plans to murder her husband. At the last moment she panicked. She never showed. Matt and Sweat had no choice but to run. After more than 2 weeks on the run, the strain became too much. Matt was older, sick, slowing down. On June 23rd, 17 days after the escape, Sweat left him behind. They split. 3 days later, Matt stumbled out of the woods armed with a shotgun he had taken from a hunting cabin. When Matt confronted the family on the road, law enforcement was already nearby. Border Patrol agents arrived by helicopter. Officers moved in. Matt did not surrender. He raised the shotgun. He was shot 3 times and killed. His body showed the cost of the wilderness: blisters, bites, infection, exhaustion. He had survived nearly 3 weeks in the forest. It ended on the roadside. Sweat lasted 2 days longer. A state police sergeant spotted him walking along a road near Constable, just miles from the Canadian border. When the patrol car turned around, Sweat ran. The officer fired, striking him in the shoulder and arm. Sweat was captured alive. He had been on the run for 22 days, covering roughly 60 miles. Sweat recovered in the hospital and was returned to prison. He received additional time for the escape, though he was already serving life without parole.
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to apologize to the community and the people who felt the fear and felt it necessary to leave their homes or their community because of the escape. That was never my intent, and I deeply apologize for that, Your Honor.
Joyce Mitchell was sentenced to 2.5 to 7 years and was released in 2020. Gene Palmer served 4 months of a 6-month sentence. An investigation found systemic failures throughout the prison. More than 20 people were cited. No one else served time. The prison that was never meant to be escaped had been breached, not by luck, but by manipulation, patience, and human weakness. And for 22 days, 2 of the most dangerous men in New York vanished into the trees.